morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Horses. Andy Serling, joined by Anthony Stabile. Sunday, October 3rd, after a nice day of racing yesterday. Any thoughts on either the Woodward and Art Collector and or Jack Christopher in the Champagne?
I think you have to be impressed with Jack Christopher yesterday, don't you? Able to kind of turn off, sit off the pace early on, make up some ground approaching the turn, and then doing what I think you and I thought he was going to do.
I don't think it's really about us, but okay.
No, what I'm saying is, I thought a lot of people coming here yesterday expecting a performance like that, and he delivered.
Some might have hoped he would run well. I think it's a tale of two races, and I think you could throw Nick's Go in that as well. I mean, Jack Christopher was clearly tiring a bit at the end of the race. Second place finisher who had a right to run well would run well in his maiden race, so it wasn't a big surprise. He ran well. It was also a pretty quick pace, and if you look at the pace relative to other paces that day, they were moving a bit up front. You saw Gunite, who was setting the pace, just completely stopped on the turn, so it was a pretty quick pace. I think that's why the race slowed down at the end. And then you have Art Collector, who was able to set a very moderate pace and thus able to steamroll ahead, a 107 buyer for Art Collector, which actually equals the buyer that Medina Spirit got for the Awesome Again, who had won probably under very similar circumstances, and a 93 for Jack Christopher, a 104 for Nick's Go. But Nick's Go, when you're going as slowly up front as he was going, and that was a very slow pace because the track was very quick at Churchill yesterday, you can't produce the kind of fast final times when the paces are slow, and I think Nick's Go's race was a means to an end, regardless of what he does in the Breeders' Cup. Art Collector's a good horse. He should have been favored in the race. The reality is that there's a fascination for Maxfield that doesn't really make sense based on his past performances. He's a very nice horse, but he also was a bit pace compromised. I think he ran fine yesterday, but I think he ran the same sort of race that he runs every time, which is okay, but it's not, it's better than 99.9% of the horses out there, but it's not as good as the absolute best horses in his division.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly put. He's just that one.
It's a very good horse, but
one little cut below the.
He might be the 6th or 7th best older horse in the country,
right,
which isn't necessarily, which is a
not
great compliment.
A bad thing.
But it's not 4 to 5 or 3 to 5 in stakes like yesterday, and I'm not exactly sure. It seems like the public got enamored with him as a 2-year-old, and a public that seems to be betting, and they've just never let up.
For 2 years.
He was odds on in a mile and a quarter race at Santa Anita early in the year when he shouldn't have been odds on. It's just a massive fascination with him. He's a very nice horse, and I want to see Brendan Walsh do well with him. But at this point, if I were them, you've got essential quality in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Run him in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to. The problem is, who's going to be a bigger favorite? I mean, Life is Good might be the biggest favorite on the entire card if he runs the Dirt Mile.
Jackie's Warrior too, but he might be a smaller field.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons he'll be a bigger favorite is the lack of competition. If Maxfield runs in that race, he's not as big a favorite. You know, if a couple other horses chose to, what if Art Collector and Maxfield ran in there? Suddenly he's not.
We're talking about that in the office.
2.
That's what Acacia was talking about. Acacia said, maybe you run Art Collector in the Dirt Mile.
Maybe you run him in the Cigar Mile instead. Yeah. You can take options. Art Collector, who I'm a huge fan of and friendly with Bruce Lunsford, but I don't really believe that he has any chance to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, and I think maybe the idea is to find a race that he can win. We'll see what they do with him. Today's card, of course, head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, now no better time in the present. Go to nairabets.com, use the promo code MATCH200 and sign up for Naira Bets. America's Day at the Races, 12:30 to 6:30 today, and I think what's on everybody's mind, and it's one of the reasons I had trouble sleeping last night, so if I seem a little tired, is the tight jockey and trainer race at Churchill that'll be decided on day number 12 of their 12-day meet. I think, I don't know. I sort of felt from you a little bit of tension, and I know I didn't sleep. So we'll be settling that, so you won't want to miss that, among other great things, including the Grade 1 Frizette and 2 other stakes today.
Sunday.
Race number 1 on today's card. We'll take a look at Flower Point, the 5 for Shug, is the only one with a recent win going this distance. She can win.
She got some setup this day.
She got a great setup in here. Now, I don't know if she's meeting any killers in this race. I just thought she was one of the ones that could win. I wasn't enamored by the ones with turf form in here, to be honest.
As we could tell by your top selection. Yeah, this is a perfect setup. Rosario gave her a flawless ride, just getting her through at the top of the lane, and just basically hand ride to the wire here.
And you can say that, well, went 5.5 last time, but In Good Spirits, who finished second, made a real close in there, and she just didn't do any running.
She just didn't kick
so,
last time. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe 7 will be better. She certainly can win. Your top choice, Honey Cake, I'm not sure what to do with her.
Well, I would assume that Honey Cake is going to be.
She's got to be the favorite here, right?
I would imagine.
Favored.
She ran against a nice filly in Jolie Olympico up at Woodbine. She's not going to make the lead today with Sousa in the race.
But Jolie Olympico was better at other times in her career. I mean, she beat Abscond. It's a nice horse, but she's no superstar.
No, I understand that, but it was also her first start off of a 7.5-month layoff. It was her first start on this side of the pond. I'm a little, curious with no Lasix today.
Let me say something about this. You say it's her first start, but I don't think this is dissimilar to Shug's Maiden that didn't run yesterday that went to Kentucky Downs. I don't think you go through the trouble, if you're Jonathan Thomas, of shipping this filly all the way to Canada and dealing with that kind of ship, and it's not an easy ship, if you don't think she's going to run reasonably well.
I don't disagree with that.
I'm not saying she can't run better, but I have to think that they shipped up there assuming they had a horse ready to run. I think it's an important point.
I don't disagree with that, but at the very least, you'd have to admit that the first 2 finishes are better than anything she's facing in here.
I don't disagree, but she got beaten 8 lengths. She got absolutely
I understand that, but it was
thumped.
also off the layoff.
But she shipped all the way up to Canada to run in a race that she ran horribly in. I mean, I'm not.
She was 10.5 to 1, Andy. It wasn't like she was. She wasn't 30 to 1, but she also wasn't 4 to 1.
Anthony, you're missing the point. You're so convinced that you have to belabor your point. I picked her second, Anthony. I'm not against her. I'm making a point. It's the same point as Shug shipping that first-time star to Kentucky Downs. You don't ship all the way to Kentucky Downs unless you believe your horse is ready to run well. You don't ship up to Canada to get a prep race into them. It's not an easy ship. It's not like, it's not like being at Belmont and shipping to Monmouth. Right. It's a lot more complicated than that. Right. That's all I'm saying. So I think that you have to say she was 10 to 1. She was atrocious.
She was not good. She was not good.
And you bring up the Lasix point. It's not a bleeding issue. So we'll see. Heads on the lead, we'll see. My feeling was Sousa, or Sasua. Damn one on the turf. She actually was very good. She hasn't produced any turf horses. She actually produced horses that were more dirt horses, but she is turf. It's Speightstown. She's the speed. She's not that bad. She's not that good. I just thought she was an interesting new face near a little bit of pedigree, and I want to take a bit of a shot with her because, honestly, Honey Cake can win. No question, but she was bad last time. Flower Point, she can win. I'm not thrilled. Maybe Madeline Must will win, but what excuses do you want to make for her 2 races this year? She just didn't do any running.
0. She did. I mean, 2 starts back, if you want to say, okay, fine, it was her first start of the year off 6 months. I mean, what happened last time?
And even the win at Aqueduct, I mean, she came up the rail. The rail was good that day. It wasn't exactly a stellar field. I mean, once again, she can win, but she's not that good.
No.
So I just decided to take a new face with some pedigree. Sasua, who should be the speed in here, I thought, she was a little interesting. Race number 2, Maiden Special, a Maiden claiming race with some drop downs in here. Do I have some stats? No. We'll take a look at Free the Press's debut, and we'll talk about what happens to horses. She ran a good second to Love Struck. She probably should have been put up on a DQ that didn't happen. And
then she runs into White Frost and Lahana, who both turned out to be okay.
White Frost, wasn't she supposed to be back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
She was training. I have to ask them about that. And then last time out, she got caught behind a slow pace, but now dropping to 40. She's the horse to beat. She's a little tough to trust.
I don't disagree with that. I sided with her in here. She is a little tough to trust. I just didn't really. The other 2 logical horses in here, to me, I don't know how trustworthy they are either.
Well, what's untrustworthy about Now Use Can't Leave?
I mean,
well, she chased outside against a gold rail. She chased outside against a gold rail last time. Those things matter. And the horse that won was able to sit on the gold rail. So she actually was against the racetrack last time. I think she ran fine.
And now she's cutting in half.
Yeah, she's trying to win a race, trying to run her where she can win. She's
you're sucking up to Masiello, huh?
He had the dumbest tweet.
Wow.
He's a smart guy.
Very
reasonably smart, not as smart as I thought he was, but he had one of the dumbest tweets yesterday of all time. Just that tweet, if the Yankees hadn't blown a late lead in a game back in July, they'd had the wild card wrapped up.
Why?
You know, 186 I felt bad for
Why
him.
are you
I felt,
arguing with Yankee
I
fans?
felt bad for his family. I really did. It was an
Why are
embarrassment
you
to be on
arguing with
social
Yankees
media.
fans? I mean,
And he
really.
also represents horse racing.
We're
It
in
was
Yankee colors today.
Anyway, I just think now Use Can't Lee is a little bit more reliable than Freedom of the Press, and I took her at what would be a better price. Freedom of the Press will be a very short price in here. What's the argument for Peace Be the Journey?
I'll tell you what, you could have made a better one if Federalist Papers would have run 2 steps the other day. Because her race and her debut...
Federalist Papers couldn't win the other day. You were the only person that thought she was competitive in that field.
Her debut was okay. The figure from her last race, I guess, if she can improve, makes her a little competitive in here. I don't
guess.
know.
She was also on a pace that held together. I thought it was 4s and 1s.
But she's dropping back in for the tag.
Yeah, no, she is. And I just didn't find any particular ways to go. I thought, actually, I had the 2/3 in this race, and she scratched.
Me too.
So she came out. I didn't really find anywhere else to go. I mean, somebody want to give Balinese another chance. She was atrocious last time in a bad field with an absolutely perfect trip. We'll see how things play out in race number 2. Race number 3.
Blinkers come off Fenway and blinkers go on Maiden. Those are two.
That's it.
Those are 2 changes.
That's it. I'm going to go home now.
Right away. Can't just let me give them the.
We'll
late
show
changes.
Fenway's one competitive race back in February, finishing second. He's not much horse.
God.
He's going to win today.
Wow.
Oh, well, he's going to win today. I mean, duel with Gold Panda, just much better horses. There's nobody in this race that has run a step in their races. I mean, I guess you wonder, Maiden, what do you do with a horse that ran 1 1/8 first time and got beaten 50, ostensibly was eased, and now is running 6 furlongs?
You don't think 40 Comets did any running first time?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I guess the only thing you say is horse is lightly raced, but no, I didn't think that was any running.
Okay. I tried 40 Comets against Fenway. I couldn't pick Fenway. I couldn't do it. I know. I understand what you're saying. Dealing with the winner who came back to win 2 weeks later. I get the whole thing. I couldn't pick this horse.
Okay. I didn't see 40 Comets doing any running, and I'm not a big Fenway fan, but I think he's found a field he's going to beat, and didn't know where else to go here.
And I guess you're right. Caden's a little interesting. Just that's a weird place to start off. And
it's weird.
Yeah.
Give Jeremiah credit. He's admitting he was foolish to run the horse in 1 1/8 first time out. It might not matter. He might not be competitive at any distance.
One of this horse is ultimately destined for the turf.
To be eating it? You mean to be grazing in a field and eating it?
I don't know.
Sir William is a half to who? Okay, that's the trivia question for today. A horse that won a stake race recently. Sea Raven. The one is a half to Sea Raven. Michelle Giangulio's first winner.
Seafoam?
Seafoam. Oh, you know what? Maybe I have the wrong.
You got the wrong horse.
It's Sea Raven. Wait, right.
I have no idea what Sea
No,
Raven
Sea Raven's
is.
pretty good. No, Sea Raven's
Yeah?
a good horse. Yeah. You're
not
right, though. I have the
Seafoam.
wrong, you're right, I have the wrong horse. But the horse was a stakes horse. Pretty good. Yeah, that was good.
I was like, Sea Raven. I was like,
So,
okay.
4 are running in the Pilgrim. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Race is going to come up a strong race if we can only get 4 for the Pilgrim. They'll get 47.
That's what happens,
They'll get 47 for the Bourbon at Keeneland, but 4 for the Pilgrim.
And there'll be 14 in the body and 12 excluded from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile
I'm going to
Turf.
say this again. Stake races at Belmont Park at 8.5 furlongs need to be run in the Widener. It's a more fair course, and these are stake races, and I believe it matters. And I think part of this sort of just mess that was the Miss Grillo yesterday was a function of the course that they were running on. I think it creates situations at the start that you just don't see on the Widener. 4 are going to contest it, and I guess Annapolis will be the favorite. Take a look at Annapolis win at Saratoga. It was impressive, and he is the horse to beat off of this race.
Yeah. For you FIG fans out there, I know the FIG is a little less than the with anticipation number run by the #1 portfolio company, but and this horse and this is not something that Todd Pletcher usually excels with, right? These 2-turn races at Saratoga, these turf routes, but this horse just he won and use this term. Don't use this term. I try not to use this term a lot, but this horse won in a common gallop first time out. I mean, he was just super impressive.
He was the best horse in the race,
Yeah.
and, we don't really know who was behind him. Todd Pletcher does not have particularly good numbers with his turf debuters going long, so he outran that. This horse has a significant pedigree, not just the son of Warfront, but also My Miss Sophia, who was very good on dirt and turf as well. I think that she won her turf debut
Saratoga, right?
No, on Belmont Stakes Racing Festival weekend, or maybe was it Travers weekend?
I think it was up Saratoga.
It was either
That
race.
Friday.
It was a big. It was a. Yeah, you may be right. It may have been. You're right. It might have been Travers weekend. You might be right about that.
For Mott, right? It was her first start for Mott.
No, I didn't play.
Mott had her too. Bill Mott wound up with her, I believe.
Maybe. I thought it was Todd, but you may be right. No, maybe that rings a bell now you say it.
Yeah.
Todd's numbers are okay off of maiden wins with turf routers. Second time star, he's just 4 for 18. I don't know. I feel like this horse is going to be 3 to 5 in here.
I don't. He will be under even money.
And I'm not sure he deserves it. We'll look at portfolio company and limited liability, and we'll look at the start of the race. And, you know, portfolio company got extremely rank after the start of this as well. And I think, obviously, he's got to break better today. You know, dragged back. The pace was super slow. The race was won on the front end. He was compromised. He ended up running second. The winner run well, but the winner has pedigree and benefited from the pace. Limited liability did absolutely no running whatsoever. I don't know. I guess either one of these horses can win. I guess any of these three can win. I guess. I mean, we'll see.
I liked this horse's race last time, portfolio company. If he could overcome some of his antics and.
Would you pick him if it wasn't Klarovich
Yeah,
and
of course
Chevron?
I would pick this horse. I would imagine he's going to be sitting second to Dr. Jeff today.
I don't know. I've given up trying to decide. I thought that.
Well, where else would he be?
I thought
if he
that
breaks?
McCulloch would be close yesterday, and she'd have some trouble to start, and she obviously
outside
won the
draw.
race, but it was only a 6-horse field. As far as Dr. Jeff, he's probably a horrendous pick on my part, but I'm going to make my share of horrendous picks. This horse ran very well in his debut and came back and stunk in the Sarah Special. He's a street boss, so you got turf there. Now, this horse after 3 horses couldn't run the turf. They were 0 for 3, and they were dirt horses. But the second dam was a turf horse. So you've got that going for her, and you've got a horse, him, that's going to be the loose speed. We'll see. I know this horse has some ability. Whether or not he has ability going long on the turf, we'll see.
That remains to be seen.
He's
But
going to
this
be
horse certainly
controlling
has
up front.
ability.
He's got some ability. He's got enough turf pedigree for me to throw him in. I'm not in love with him. I'm not in love with anybody in here. I'm not taking Annapolis at 3 to 5. Portfolio company can win. I'm not against him. I think he and Annapolis have a similar chance to win. I don't know what I'm supposed to like about limited liability, who ran okay in his debut, but was just awful last time out. Now, Shug does not have good numbers. In fact, he has atrocious numbers off of maiden wins and turf routes in their second start. So maybe just a horse that regressed and he'll run better because his debut was good enough to be effective here.
I forgot that he was favored into portfolio company last
Yeah,
time.
he was massively over.
4 to 5.
Yeah, so.
Might have been one of the worst chalks of the meet.
No. We had some horrendous chalks, I'm sure, at the meet.
All right, you got your opinion, I got mine, buddy. Thought it was a bad favorite.
It was a bad favorite. No, I totally agree with that. I don't think it was one of the worst. They don't all have to be. It doesn't have to be hyperbole.
No,
He was
I
a
know.
bad favorite. Whether or not he was one of the worst favorites to meet, there were probably some pretty hideous favorites up there. How about 3 to 5 and 4 to 5 in Maxfield yesterday? I mean, that was ridiculous.
Well, that was here.
We've had how about 1 to 2 on a Todd Pletcher second time starting maiden on the turf 2 weeks ago here. I'm saying there are some bad favorites.
No, I said
around.
up there.
I know, but
Yeah.
I imagine we could search through and there'd be some pretty horrendous heavy favorites up there if you were to look through. I'll give you one.
We can go through our texts.
That Todd Pletcher horse that lost here last week, that New York bred, in her second start was an overwhelming favorite. I know she stumbled to start, but she's no bargain. Race number 5, a little tricky because there's absolutely no form in race number 5. None. 0. Zilch.
Nada.
There's none. I mean, you've taken a horse that's proven one thing: he can't run. So what's your feeling on Great Britain?
I thought a little experience might help this one. I know there's no. I mean,
How about a little ability? He has a very little bit of that.
I'm hoping it comes with some experience. Dropping down.
He's run
Listen,
twice.
the last year and a half, Grand Motion on the short numbers here in the racing form has some pretty good numbers going. Maiden special.
Are they
maiden
turf or dirt?
winners. I just told you they were the short numbers, man.
Yeah, that doesn't help anybody. Everyone can see that. It's on everybody's racing form.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I'm not knocking a horse in here. I didn't get this horse. I thought he'd show what he was, but listen, in this field, nothing would be surprising. You know, like a horse like Dream of a Day, I mean, he's just a big, slow horse. He really is. Now listen, he may be able to outslow these horses to the wire and still win this race, dropping down. But he broke a little slow. He was asked. He had no speed. He never accelerated. I just think his figure was more of a function of the race
He
that
just
he was
flopped
in
all, he just
than anything else.
galloped along, really.
I mean, Tommy B. Tommy B's interesting because he has real speed in there.
Right, and a pair of blinkers go on.
Well, he
he's
has
dropping
speed.
in, and he has speed
He
already.
was already dragged out of that race. If you watched it last time, he was kind of dragged. But, I mean, you say is that traffic at the 8th pole? I don't know.
I mean, forget about the traffic, right? If he's ridden aggressively in here, you might just have such a decided advantage. I mean, I would imagine the horse you put on top, and I have second's going to be forward as well.
Well, you would think. I mean, at least with Regal Empire, the horse that I put on top, this horse had a real significant wide trip last time out. This horse was 3-4 wide in the first turn, 3 wide on the second turn. He didn't do any running, but he's supposed to be forward in this race. Now, the problem is he's coming out of an atrocious race.
Awful.
So, you know, the old no trips in slow races axiom may come into play in this race. I'm not.
But at least his trouble came at the beginning, right?
Well, yeah, he was wide the whole way. It wasn't so much trouble. And the bump stage start, I thought it was relatively insignificant. I just believe that Moore was just wide around the track, and it was a slow race, but I picked him on top. I mean, the 6, the firster for Bill Mott that you've left out, is actually turf pedigree there. 1 to 2 of the horses could run on the turf. The Dam was a turf horse. Her best horse was that Bobby's something, that good sprinter out in California. So Mike Matt's horse, but it is some turf. Here's a stat. I didn't put it
Bobby's
up.
Abu Dhabi?
No. Bobby's something. Bill Mott with first-time starters in maiden claimers on turf routes. He's not only 0 for 10, he never hits the board. He's 0 for hitting the board. So when he's done this, it's just been bad horses he's been doing it with. But how do you completely dismiss a first-time starter in this field?
No.
You know, I wish the rail horse had more pedigree. And you know, the second dam is Yale, but, you know, I mean, she has, I mean, there's an argument that Regitto on the rail has the best pedigree of anybody. The third dam is Wild Applause. The fourth dam is Glowing Tribute. And Glowing Tribute is one of the greatest broodmares in the last 50 years. And she's also a tremendous turf influence. It seems to have dissipated, though, in the next few generations. But the second dam is Yellow, was pretty good. It's Bobby's Wicked One. That's what it is. Thank you, Steve.
You Brooklyn fans could bet Flatbush in here.
It's a flat out. Horses, I have the horse that you liked yesterday, Lord Flintshire. But he's a Flintshire, and this one's a flat out, so there's not really a turf. This race is a big guessing game. I hear you're the 7. I didn't see it, but nothing is going to surprise me.
No, it's a big guessing game. You're 100% right.
Some horse that's 25 to 1 and takes no money could win this race. I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
Because it's not going to take a Herculean effort to win race number 5. The second half of the card, late pick 5 after a quick break.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Are you speaking cryptically to me? I'm Andy Serling. He's Anthony Stabile. What? Does it screw up
The
what?
train next weekend.
No, why?
That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better.
Right. Yeah, good call.
Race number 6.
Make a great point.
Big scratch in race number 6. With American Dubai coming out, Musical America ends up being the main speed in here. Maybe that kind of helps. Horse like Zoomer, 235, take some of the punch out of it. Hold off on the trainer stats. Relax for a second. We're going to show Dark Storm first, and then we'll show that trainer stat. Does Rudy not like Dark Storm? Is this a negative tip in for? Isn't this the kind of horse you usually pick?
I don't like this. I'm just not a fan of the horse in general.
Okay, if you liked him, your argument would be he's cutting back to 1 turn. He's better around 1 turn than 2 turns, right? Wouldn't that be the Stabilism?
That would have been my argument, except
it's true.
If you look at, I mean, what
Except
race
it's
on
true.
his card in the last 6 months, save his more to tell, do you really want? I don't want any of them.
Okay, I like Dark Storm.
I'm not a fan
I
of
like
this
Rudy
horse.
off the claim with dirt routers. He has a tremendous numbers, as you'll see with his stat that Francisco will put up in a moment. Great numbers off the claim with dirt routers. This horse was compromised by a slow pace, a racetrack that was hindering closers, a whole lot of circumstances, and I think ran a lot better than that 79 buyer suggests. I like Rudy's numbers off the claim with dirt routers, and I thought Dark Storm was very interesting in here. You like 235, and you can hold off on that stat for a while.
I just thought 235 made a lot of sense. I mean, when you look at when he's in races, he can win. He's competitive. He's not going to be competitive against Harper's First Ride and Cord Maker down at Pimlico in the deputed testimony, the local stakes
Wasn't he
horses.
bad last time, though?
I don't know if he was bad last time. He wasn't good.
No, well, he was not
That's
good.
different. I think that's different.
He had a trip two back. Okay, listen,
know?
I scratched into him as my second choice. I had him third.
I thought he made a lot of sense in here.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Mike Maker has horrifically bad stats off the claim on dirt routers, and there's more to it, and we'll show that stat. I wouldn't say horrifically bad stats. He's 15% with a $1.08 ROI.
Well, the ROI stinks. I mean, but he's winning with 1 out of every 7.
Oh, so you're going to be about 8 to 1 on this guy today? I mean, he
No,
must be 8 to 1 today for you to think
no.
it's good.
No,
It's
but hold on a second. The ROI is terrible.
They're 5 to 2 shots.
But that percentage
It's not good.
It's along the lines of what he does.
Mike
I mean,
Maker?
16% on the year.
On the year. It's a bad stat, and he's a trainer. It's pretty good. And here's the other thing. Claimed off of Robertino Diodoro in dirt routes. Over the last 5 years, they are 24 for 224, 11% with a $1 ROI. At Naira, 2 for 21, $1.08 ROI. So it's not all about stats, but there's some pretty lousy stats for a horse that is the morning line favorite.
Yep.
I mean, I think.
Oh, wow.
You know, well, American Dubai was probably the favorite in here.
Yeah, he was. 5
I mean, I think Zoomer can win this race. Do I have another stat in this race? Oh, no, I showed all the stats.
I felt like the 1 and the 6, A Matter of Time, and Twisted Tom would be surprising, but the other 5 wouldn't.
Isn't your second
me.
choice moving way up? I mean, let me ask you a question. Shouldn't you have put your second choice on top when the 7 scratched? If you think that the 5 was good enough to win this race, isn't he more likely to win this race now that the 7 scratched?
Well, what's Zoomer going to do?
Anthony, one question at a time. Isn't he, what's Zoomer going to do? Not be in front of Musical America.
Then, oh, I see. You say, should I have? Well,
I'm just saying.
I don't know how much. I don't know how much I. He's become a little.
But you got the 5 second.
Yeah, he's become a little
with
untrustworthy.
The 7
he has races
but
that
you've got
can
him
win.
second with the 7 in the race.
Right. I understand that. I got it. I'm very well aware of what I have.
Why are you fighting an argument that you know?
I'm not fighting an argument. He's not as trustworthy as he
As the
once
3?
was. I do think the 3's a little more trustworthy. Yeah, I actually do. I
think if I put up a Twitter poll and said if you would pick the race 3, 5, 8, and you did it with the 7 in the race, what percentage you would make your 5 your top choice? It would be over 98.
Okay.
Because only being stubborn would you suggest. Now, I don't like the 5, Anthony, but the 5's chances move up considerably because you have one rider that when he rides dirt routers and speed, commits to going.
Oh, yeah, he'll be in front.
He commits. So this horse will be in front and now doesn't have to deal with a very fast horse in American Dubai. That makes a significant difference in this race, a significant difference. So I don't like the 5 particularly, so I didn't move him up, though I probably would have had him 3rd or 4th. And I think Zoomer can win. I think he can be close. I think the 3 can be close. But if you're somebody that thinks the 5 was good enough to win with the 7 in the race, you're supposed to think his chances moved up considerably with the 7 out of the race.
Well,
That's the
I
point.
really like 235 today.
Okay. Good talk. Good talk. We'll revisit that later. Race number 7. We'll take a look at Princess Val. You are the stubbornest person I've ever met in my life.
I understand where you're coming
You
from.
are, you're an immovable object.
I just feel like he's a little untrustworthy at this point.
You argue a completely different issue with the issue being discussed. Princess Fazia, this is her winning back at Aqueduct in November. Without question, on paper, she is a weak the horse to beat. She's going to be forwardly placed. She's fast enough to beat these. I'm going to say a couple of things. I know they were better horses last time, a lot better horses. She was absolutely horrendous.
Weren't they
last
better
time.
3 of her last 4? I mean, I think you could argue that they've
Once
just
again,
been better in the last
they
4
were better
starts.
horses. She was absolutely horrendous. And Linda Rice, allowance to claim her on the turf. She's 3 for 24, 13%. With routers, she's 1 for 10, 6 hitting the board, 78-cent ROI, 7 of them were short. The reality of Linda is she's a trainer that has very interesting numbers. She's either very good or very bad.
You talk about that all the time.
There are a lot of Princess Fauzias in that trainer stat. And I don't disagree with you. On paper, I don't know. It's very hard for me to pick against this horse. But I couldn't get past that stat. I just couldn't. And when I coupled it with how badly she ran last time, and I don't care who she was running against, she was awful. The horse that was involved in the pace with her, that won the race, the only other horse that didn't have trouble, was beat a city block here, albeit against better, but you liked her that day, and she was beating a city block.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Listen,
I'm not.
I couldn't find a clever enough place to go.
I totally hear you, Anthony. Believe me, I spent a lot of time combing through this race to try to.
I really wanted to pull the trigger on the horse you wound up putting on top.
Well,
I have her second.
As far as more good times,
because she's another one. She's obviously just been running against exponentially better.
She has been, and see, I think she's making the right drop down, and she's also moving to a new barn. She's not a private purchase. She's as the same owner she had last time out. Let's just say the rider never got her into a particularly good position in here, and she just kind of got steadied out at the 3/8 pole and lost all chance. She's a slow plotter, but on the other hand, mile and a 16th on the Widener, favorable that running style. She's my best alternative because I don't like Gambling Cat. I thought Gambling Cat was decidedly mediocre. You want to argue she ran a better horse last time? Maybe. Magisterium at times is better. Maybe. Lady Fatima, who actually, if you just took the number 8 Lady Fatima on her last race, you'd better off her last race. The problem is she doesn't have a single other race that makes her particularly competitive.
That's not even close, right?
But she actually ran pretty well. The horse that she was involved in the pace finish last at 37-1 and actually isn't that bad. She actually is an 80 buyer type horse. She really ran okay and not just carried along in that race. Not a phony race. I just can't trust her.
You really feel like, I mean, I don't know how you feel. I really feel like Princess Fauzia would have to beat herself in here.
I don't know what that means.
She would just not have to show up. I mean, this is...
No, I don't agree with that.
No?
I think her recent form suggests that she may not show up.
Okay.
She's been terrible in these races. She was terrible in the race before it. She chased a soft pace and just went backwards. The problem with turf racing is you'll always look like you ran better than you did when you run lousy. It's not like dirt racing. You can run really lousy and still look like you ran okay, and that's why turf racing is good for trainers because they can tell the owner, you know, she really actually ran pretty well. She's just in a little too tough.
Trainer speed?
You know,
Trainer speed?
Yeah, well, yeah, and the buyer speed figure will back them up. But buyer speed figures, you know, speed figure, not buyer, any speed figure in turf races, they don't really tell an accurate story for bad also-rans. They tell it much more for the horses that run well. And that's why a horse like Lady Fatima, who actually ran pretty well last time, I think it's more believable, but I just don't know where that came from. We'll see what happens. 7-6-8 for me, 6-7-9 for you. The Fasig-Tipton Weah. Should I spend 10 minutes talking about Weah? I loved Weah.
You always do.
I love Weah. Such love for Weah. So, what do we got here? We got My Sister Nat in the Glens Falls this year. This is 2 back, I think, when she finished second. You know, I like My Sister Nat. She should have won the Flower Bowl last year. I think she won this race last year. And listen, she's losing to Warlike Goddess in these races, right? Who's want to be the American hope probably for the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. She'll be drowned by whatever Europeans come over, but that's a different story.
I keep trying to justify taking these short price horses. I've been doing it. I feel like I've been doing it all morning into the afternoon, but she's the horse to beat. Yeah, I mean,
she's a bit of a plotter, though.
She is. There's nothing to you can't even argue that. She doesn't have the turn of foot that her sister had. My sister Charlie, obviously.
She ran okay in her last 2 races.
She was fine in her last 2 races.
Doesn't do anything for me
at
3 to 5.
No.
Well, you say that. But back in March, when Warlike Goddess started her streak, she did it at the expense of a horse that was even money that's in this race in Always Shopping. We'll take a look at Always Shopping at Gulfstream. And while she didn't run quite as well in her next start up here, she was losing to Magic Attitude and Muda Makina, who might be favored in this race. Or the Magic Attitude, I would think, would be.
Magic Attitude would be she'd vie for favoritism.
This was a very nice photo to win, by the way, with Warlike Goddess.
Us. Yes.
This was a very nice photo to win. I didn't say you, me. I said this was a very nice photo to win.
I thought you said me. I'm sorry.
No, I said this was a very nice photo to win.
Yeah. I didn't think she got there this day, did you?
Yes. So, anyway, I did, but
Of course you did.
I did.
I'm sure you
You
did.
could go back and watch the show, and I said in the show she got there, so I did. This is mishandling of this horse.
Well, cutting her back was
Now,
just...
I don't know who made the decision to run it. It doesn't seem like Todd is the type of trainer. He ran the Justa game, so he drew an outside post in New York, but she's more of a route. She's not as... Her shorter turf races aren't very good. She got good as soon as they stretched her out to the longer distance turf races.
She's not a middle distance horse.
So
She's
the
a
fact
router.
that she didn't run well at those shorter distances doesn't really bother me that much. I don't trust her. She may have lost some of her form, but she's not supposed to be a distant third or fourth choice in this race. To me,
That's fine.
she is very clearly the second likeliest winner because she has the races at a distance that can win this race. The others don't unless my sister Nat finds a way to get beaten in here. I mean, Orgland. Is it Orgland? Is that Orglande? Is that
Orgland.
Well, even her best race isn't really very good. Call Me Love. She got an absolute dream trip with a low weight 2 races back, and now is 124 for what it's worth. Beautiful Lover. I have no confidence this horse is going to get better with a 1 3/8.
got some
I guess
ride
she's
last time, too.
Absolutely, to beat Miss Teheran, who's a nice horse, but no bargain.
Doesn't know how to get to the winner's circle.
Well, she
finally did.
She won that next race, so she does actually. But I just don't do it. They didn't do anything for me. So you don't have the 2 in your top 4.
Yeah, I probably slept that. I thought this horse was just tailing off a little bit, but you're right. Getting back to the distance races, I probably should get her on there.
To me, this is the only alternative.
I thought long and hard about taking a wild swing with Sister O'Toole in here.
Based on
on the fact that I think she's one that is getting a little bit better with added distance. I just don't know how much better and how good she is.
Well, let's talk about it. She beat High Opinion, who can't get a mile and a quarter in a flatbed, getting a fast pace and a perfect trip. And then she was in a race last time that featured about as fast a pace as we've run in a turf race all year. They went 48-3 at a mile and 3/16. The final time was 6 seconds slow. It's like they went 46 flat in that race. She just got a tremendous setup against lesser horses, right? I mean, you take those races apart, they just disintegrate.
I still think the distance, the added distance helped her. I don't disagree with what you're saying. And I feel like there's just a bunch of unreliable horses in here. She's still relatively new to this scene, and she's going to be a huge price in a race where I don't think you can really lean on any of these horses too heavily. I'll try and get her in the number.
Okay. Good luck. Okay. She'll be a big price. I give you that. Race number 9. Number 9, and here's another short price, and I'm not trying to beat this one either. No. So, I mean, I don't know. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to pick against Echo Zulu in here? I mean...
She runs one of her first 2 races, and these horses all need this. These horses, if the second best figure in here steps up 10 points, and she runs one of her first 2 races, she's still going to win by 3 lengths.
No, I don't disagree.
What are you supposed to do?
I don't disagree, Anthony. I mean, I don't see what the massive chink in her armor is. I guess the question is she going to get pressure outside from gerrymandering or inside from Frosty Brew? But this filly has run very, very well in her 2 races. Okay, I'll give you, and I'm not knocking. I've picked her, and I'm not. Here's if you don't like her. Here's the knock. She had 7.5 weeks, almost basically 2 months, from her debut to the Spinaway, and now she comes back in 4 weeks. That's the best argument I can come up with to try to beat her. I'm not obviously believing in it.
Right.
Other than that, like you say,
I wish I would have talked to Steve Asmussen to see if it was just a plan.
That's where you and I differ. That's where you and I differ.
To work backwards, right? Because this falls into a nice little. Along the lines of what you're saying, to have time. I got you.
It's just a point. It doesn't need to be belabored.
Along the lines of the time between the Maiden win and the Spinaway, the time between this and the Breeders' Cup is 5 weeks.
I'm not saying it means anything. I'm just saying that's the one thing I'll point out.
If you want to pick it apart a little bit, you can.
It's the one thing I'll point out. I'm not.
A Gerrymander was a.
Thought she was going to lose. I'd pick against her.
Gerrymander was a tip first time out in the 3-horse field, didn't get it done, and came back and ran really well.
She had been working very well before her last start. Now, obviously, there's a concern because they liked her in her first start. She was a morning glory, but obviously she improved, and she ran very well. We'll show her. I understand that Amo, how do you pronounce it? Amo Ray or whatever, the 2?
Amore.
Amore?
Yeah. Amore, like Amore.
That's Amore? Is that what you think it is?
Yes.
See, I don't really think that Amore, and I picked her third, really did that much running in here, because this was a race that featured an absolutely wicked pace that was falling apart. And to me, gerrymandering did all the running because she broke on
All
top.
the running.
She attended the quick pace. The pace fell apart, and she held off the closers. Now, am I convinced that as they go farther distances that Amore won't be okay? No, she may be. But I think that her closing rush was more a function of the fast pace, and I think that gerrymandering did more running. Now, the problem for gerrymandering in this race, in those circumstances, is that she's got to deal with Echo Zulu. So the favorite has her running style, whereas Amore, if the pace gets hot, that's going to hurt gerrymandering and going to help Amore.
Pick up horses up,
So
right,
maybe that makes her more likely the two. I've got her third. I didn't see anyone else in here. Oh, you've got Jester Noj in there. Calls Noj. Noj. Oh, you love Top Gun. Yeah, it's your favorite
watched
movie.
the end of it this morning.
Oh, gosh.
Actually.
I can't wait till I get a chance to see that movie someday. I'm going to wait till the Maverick comes out so I can maybe watch like a
Gotta wait till
double
Memorial Day
feature
weekend.
to drive in. A reason to go on living. Nah, it's going to be great.
You're unbelievable.
I mean, what a Tom Cruise movie with?
You just
Why do you have Jester calls Nojoy third?
Unbelievable.
That
I
was
think
the
this
question
filly's
I was asking.
okay. I really do. I thought her first race she just got a little late, and then last time going to 7, I thought she finished up nicely. I don't know.
I won our bet yesterday, right?
What was the bet yesterday?
I don't know.
You just assumed you won it?
Well, I think it involved the turf sprint, and you had such a horrendous opinion there. I think that I had to have won.
Well, if I knew I would be sitting a half length off of,
A slow pace?
I guess it was.
Yeah,
pretty
it
slow.
was a bad position. There were more bad instructions given in that race. But one thing you knew, Wesley Ward would know to want to be
Go to the
forward.
lead. Yep.
Because
How
having the
about when
lead.
the 2 broke on top and the 2 didn't go on with
How
it?
about the ride the 4 got?
Pulsate's not up near the lead.
Well, you knew Bobby Robato wouldn't go to the lead, and he even told Acacia they didn't want the lead. You don't want the lead because speed never wins. Why would you go to the lead in races? You never see speed win or turf or dirt. Never.
How many races do you think Wesley Ward's won the way he won that sprint yesterday?
It's definition
How many
of
races
insanity.
has he won? Like 2,000?
So, I'm not trying to beat the 5 and 6 in this race. The question is which one you really want. Wait a second.
Next race.
Can we switch to the next race, please?
10th race, Francisco.
You're busy,
It's Sunday,
Francisco? I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Francisco. It's
to
almost over.
interrupt you.
It's almost over, buddy.
Well, look at Judge and Jury's win 2 back. He runs this race, he's winning. I don't know.
I mean, what else can you say? I don't disagree with that either.
Francisco, take your time.
Yeah.
I don't want to tax you. It's been a long week. Where's Nathan?
Here he is, turning for home.
He was good. He was very good. And I guess the argument, and why don't you show the replay for River Dog as soon as we're done with this, if you don't mind. I mean, to be fair, River Dog, if he runs back to his debut, which is his only race in a dry track,
There's gonna be a heck
this
of a
is a dog
battle.
fight.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can possibly make a strong case against both of these horses.
No.
You
Well,
may want
I
to bet
split him
against
with
one
Blue
of them.
Gator. I thought Blue Gator was a little interesting.
He's not, but okay.
Okay, thank you.
Why is he interesting?
I just thought he was a little. I thought
River
he
Dog's
was,
Mike Lee,
I
by
thought
the
he
way.
was okay last year. He went to the bench earlier this year, came back with a decent enough effort going 7. Now he cuts back to 6. Second time Lasix. I don't know.
Saying slow paces at 7
Thought he might be all
isn't
right.
good. He went from setting a slow pace in the 7 race to a race where there's faster horses early. Just pointing it out. Okay. We disagree, but
You won him against Bronx Bomber.
no,
Okay.
no, not really. No, what's the morning line? We'll see what the morning lines are. I don't want to take all the worst of it.
5 to 1, 8 to 1.
I'll take 2 to 1.
Oh,
I'll tell you
2 to
what.
1. How
I'll
outta
take 2
here.
to 1. The Power Up Painter beats him. Then 15 to 1 and 5 to 1.
I'll give you 3 to 2.
No.
I'll give you 2 to 1 on Power Up Painter.
Okay.
Sure.
1 over
8.
1
over 8. 1 over 8.
I got you. Okay. We done?
I believe so.
Bo Liam.
Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you.
What
That's from the
happened?
Big Lebowski. I don't know.
I was watching the Big Lebowski the other day.
I don't know what happened. How
My
about
favorite-
beat him?
My favorite. Yeah, your favorite horse, Plainsman. He's only 5 to 1. I like the end scene in the Big Lebowski when Jeff Bridges and Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's great.
Dude abides.
Do you know who Sam Elliott's married to? Sam
No.
Elliott in movies, not in racing.
No.
Catherine Ross.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. You don't say.
Butch Cassidy's got to be one of the. Butch Cassidy's the first non-G-rated movie I saw as a kid. Before you weren't born yet. It's a
No,
great,
70.
It's one of the great movies of all time. No, 69.
69.
Yeah. I think it was the year after. It was Midnight Cowboy in the year after that. Maybe the same year. Anyhow, head over to Naira Bets if you're not a member of Naira Bets.
We're kind of like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
We're not even remotely like them, actually. Use the promo code.
Match 200. That's the promo code. Match 200 over at NairaBets.com. That's Latruska. And here it is, America's Day at the Races. What time are you on today, Andy?
I am on right now. I'm on from 12:30 to a little before 3:30.
So there you go.
I'll be on FS2.
And it's a little bouncy bounce back and forth. FS2,
I'm
FS1,
confusing.
FS2.
I'm confused.
Who's going to win the Riders title?
I tell you, I'm just glad it's going to be settled because
it's Tyler. I say Tyler Gaffalione wins.
He's behind. He's behind 2 from Brian Hernandez.
I say he wins 4
I learned that on
today.
a production call today.
I say he wins 4 today and gets the job done.
Really?
Yeah.
He was eager to get back to win that important riding title.
I had about a 20-minute conversation with him yesterday.
About winning the riding title tomorrow?
About a bunch of things.
Okay.
We covered a lot of bases. I like
I'm
Tyler.
sure none of
I
it
used
was
to be his
interesting.
biggest critic. Now I'm his biggest fan.
Tell you what, you just learned so much interesting stuff on this show. I don't know what you'd do without it. We're done. Johnny I is up next. The
In more
reprise.
ways
The
than
Scratch
one.
and Changes. Enjoy your Sunday here at Belmont Park.